I wanted to show you this fantastic Polio Deluxe watch that a client commissioned us to find. He was looking for a unique Soviet watch, and when he sent me that request, I immediately knew that I wanted him to try this Polio Deluxe watch. If you know your Soviet watches, you already know that Polio was a Class 1 top of the line Soviet watch with unique movements. They were top of the line, they were the first of the first, and they all had these innovative movements. For example, look at this automatic thin movement. This thing is from 1960s, and at least to my eye, it rivals watches by Omega and other entry-level Swiss brands. We found one for the client. I sent him pics. He was happy with the Deluxe that I showed him and the story behind it. This unique first-class, top-of-the-line watch, and our watchmaker had it restored. I commissioned him to take apart this watch, clean it all inside, replace broken parts, lubricate it with Swiss oils, and perform just a full overhaul on this watch. Take a look at this beautiful dial. Damn, this thing is really good. Our watchmaker had restored it, but I'm taking it apart again, and the reason I'm doing that is because the crown was missing a crown stem. Somebody in the past, a watchmaker from USSR, had either cut off or just never bothered to replace the crown stem that became wrong, or something was maybe wrong with the watch. Anyway, the watch is supposed to be watertight. It's splash proof. I wouldn't dive with it, but it does supposed to give you some level of splash protection, as it says on the back. Top of the line, first class level Soviet watch. It was missing the crown tube that is an integral part of water resistance. It had that gaping hole, so I set on a mission to make this watch up to the high standards that our clients enjoy. I just didn't want it to have that gaping hole. I didn't want it to be ruined by water that something may come into contact with it, and I just wanted to finish the job. It doesn't have a part and that it should have. I think it should be done. I ordered this set of brand new crown tubes from China, and I'm just measuring the diameter of the inner crown tube of the hole on the watch case and inside the crown. I'm just slowly going over one by one, crown tube after another, until I find the one that fits both the crown and the hole in the case. It shouldn't fit too tightly in the case so that I can push it in, and of course it shouldn't wobble and go freely inside the case so that I don't have to glue it in. That's not the right way to use glue on vintage watches. I found the right fitting tube. It's just slightly larger than the opening in the case, and I'm going to attempt to use this bracelet pin removal tool. It has a great thread on it that can, it's a thread, it's a screw, you turn it and it slowly goes in, and I figured that was a better way than hammering it in. I just wanted to give some control. I wrapped the watch in cling wrap to protect it, and this beautiful tool even has height adjustment. You see this big screw on the bottom, so I adjusted the height. I put the crown tube on this device, on this contraption, and it works like a charm. It lets you position the watch, lets me screw in the crown tube, and I'm just slowly pushing it in. As I do that, some more info on Polio and the watch from late 1960s. As I mentioned, it has a beautiful case, beautiful movement inside, a top-of-the-line level of movement, and a case which is gold capped at 20 micron. Lots of gold plating. It is more resistant to wear, unlike later 1980s, 1990s Soviet watches that had just 5 or even 1 micron of gold plating. I managed to fit this crown tube, and using the contraption, it fits very nicely. I'm very excited, I'm very happy that it turned out, and let's take a look at how the crown fits. Now, Oh, I'm so excited. It doesn't wobble anymore. There's no gaping hole for the water to go through, but it's just nice that it has a feature that we managed to restore. Next up, I'm disassembling the crown to take out the old, almost half a century old rubber seal and replace it with a new one. I'm all about restoring the not only the originality of the watch, its authenticity, but the originality of its features. If it has a rubber seal, I will be very glad to restore the rubber seal to make sure that the watch works as it did from the factory. The old rubber seal is no longer a rubber seal, but it's more like a plastic. It's very deformed and it's not protecting from water in any way. Another set of parts that I ordered, and this largest rubber ring, it fits nicely. And look at how springy that is. This is actually going to protect the watch from water, from moisture. It's very springy, it jumps around, and again, I'm very excited that it fits nicely and that we are going to have a restored feature of the watch. It's going to protect it from water, and I just wouldn't want my client to have a gaping hole in the watch where water can get through. And it fits like a glove. Oh, it snaps on with a satisfying click. It holds in place with its friction, which means the rubber seal is working. It is grabbing the crown tube tightly, and it sits very nice. I'm very happy. Oh, yeah, that's the right direction. I'm very happy. Thumbs up for this restoration. Now let's put the whole watch back together. We have our beautiful movement from a tray, from a holder. We put it out, and I'm using this Lego wheel. I was a huge fan of Legos when I was young, and magically enough, the Lego wheel is just the right size of a watch movement, just the right height for the watch to be seated nicely as I put over the case over the watch. I put this watch on and I noticed something weird. Do you see this big gap? Do you see how the movement fell through the cracks? And check out this gap on the left side of the watch. It looks like our movement ring is a little bit smaller than the case itself. It kind of falls through and the dial is almost touching the inside of the glass. Obviously, it should not do that, and it should sit as it should. It should fit nicely inside the case and not have a larger opening. I'm attempting to squeeze open the movement ring to stretch it to the right size, because it's kind of a letter C, and you can make it larger or smaller. I did stretch it a little bit, but you can see that the movement inside, it just wobbles a little bit more than I am happy with. Oh, okay, I'll have to take it apart, but I don't mind that. I'd rather do it right from the first try than deal with the logistics of shipping the watch back and have a unsatisfied client who has a movement flying around in his watch. Let's measure the diameter of this thing. I am getting 29.8 on the movement holder. Oh, whoa, and I'm getting a whole 30.3 on the case. So it's a whole half of a millimeter too small. Thankfully, the spacer ring is this C shape. It's not sealed shut, so you can move it. I suppose that's how it actually got too small in the first place. Somebody squeezed it too tight, and now it's a little bit too small. Thankfully, we can reverse the damage. I don't want to call it damage because it's something that I could fix in a minute. Whoa, nice! Look at how nicely it fits. No more gaps on the sides, and it fits snugly. I'm excited to install the movement back into it. Let's clean up our fingerprints. There's only one type of grease you want in the watch, which is watchmaker's grease, not the one from your fingertips. And take a look at the clever construction on the rotor of this automatic winding. It goes back, it goes left and right, and I'm going to show you how it works in just a second, how it interacts with the gears in the watch. Let's leave the message for future generations, a little hello from the past, and let's put the rotor back on the watch so we can see how it works. We're going to install the spacer ring first. And you can see it kind of wobbles now around the movement, but that's better than it wobbling around the case, because there are screws that I can adjust the position of the movement inside the spacer ring, but I cannot do the same for adjusting the spacer ring inside the case. Now take a look at these little levers on the bottom of the automatic rotor. It goes left and engages the left gear if you turn it left, and it goes right and engages the right gear when you turn it right. Kind of switches between the gears that it needs to wind the movement as it moves back and forth. I installed the rotor and the thing that holds it, the sort of washer. There's no screw to hold it. There's just this sort of washer that clicks into place, and I'm installing these movement holding screws that I told you about, the position of which I can adjust to adjust the position of the movement inside the spacer ring. I'm using this blower to blow off any dust from the watch. There should not be any dust, not only because it doesn't look cool on the dial, but because pieces of dust, specks of dust can enter the gears and compromise the oiling of the watch. I am putting the watch on, and moment of truth. Does it fit right? Does it? Oh, I think it does. Look, it clicked in with a satisfying click. And look at how a little gap around the spacer ring, between the spacer ring and the case itself. I will position it to align with the crown tube, to align all two openings in the case and inside the movement. I will put the crown back in place, and off camera I also cleaned the crown because I grabbed it with my fingers when I was taking out the metal ring that holds the rubber seal. I put it in place and it clicks in place. Oh, again, I'm so happy how the new rubber ring secures this thing in place. And let's check out how the spacing looks like from the other side. And I decide that I want to move it a little bit to the right, closer to the crown. I'm undoing the screws and repositioning the movement inside the spacer ring and tightening them back. The movement is now secured inside the space ring, and the spacer ring is secured inside the case. It fits nicely, fits like a glove, and I am ready to put the case back. Let's install new rubber seals. Once again, I'm using these brand new fresh seals so that it doesn't leak any moisture inside. Treat it with a grain of salt. Treat it not like a feature advertised, treat it more like a safety net in case of an accident. This is more than half a century old watch, and its features are showing its age. I installed a second ring to secure the movement nicely. I'm using these two rubber seals because old Soviet seals were flat if you look at it from the side, and I'm using these two rubber seals to achieve the same look and feel. Let's sign our work and install the case back. You can see that shock-resistant, automatic, water-protected inscription on the case back, which is top of the line. This is pretty cool. A golden, automatic, shock-proof, and water-resistant watch in USSR. First-class watch from Polyot, from First Moscow Watch Factory. You would be the coolest man in the room back in the day when you had this watch. Imagine rocking this thing 50 years ago in a communist country. And there is no same watch in the world with the same level of patina, of wear and tear, and unique history behind it. These watches are exotics. They are fantastic finds for somebody in the United States and Europe. I hope our client Mike will enjoy this beautiful, unique watch. He wanted to find a unique watch from USSR and he got it. What do you think about us replacing the crown tube and adjusting the position of the spacer ring? Was it something that you would have enjoyed having done on your watch, or is it something that's kind of overkill and not important? If you're looking for a unique Soviet watch that is authentic, that is restored with warranty up to highest standards, I'll be happy to help you pick something that you will enjoy. Send me a message. I'm available on Instagram at notarolex and email. You can find all my contacts in the description. Send me a message and I'll be happy to help you pick a nice Soviet watch.